Two men are allies, but no women are. Just a smidge of misogyny wafting from this book. Get your motorcycle off my street. Welcome back to the crypt. I hinted before at my Q&A I did with Haley that I had thoughts on the book Iron Maiden, and I will say if you follow me on social media such as Instagram and TikTok, you will already know a little bit about what those thoughts are, but I want to expand about another issue I had with the book. But this is an issue that actually is not just this book. It's actually an issue that I have with most dystopian books, especially those that are marketed to a young adult audience. If you've seen or read Hunger Games or Ender's Game or even Alita Battle Angel, which was made into a movie not that long ago but actually was originally written here in Japan back in 1990, you will know this trope. It's the big bad guy in the sky who controls everything trope. Or okay, it's a small group of people, whatever. It's still the idea that either one person or a very small group of people control absolutely everything, and that they're the real bad guys. The reason I have an issue with this is because these people who are so evil at the very top, they're giving horrible, horrible orders, right? But at the end of the day, the people who are fulfilling those evil orders are regular Joe citizens. The guards are the ones that are fulfilling these orders. Yet, because the real enemy is the bad guy in the sky giving the order, we're completely overlooking the fact that the regular Joe guards are the ones actually pulling triggers. So the problem becomes that these big bad guys in the sky are the true evil, and because we're so fixated on defeating them and making sure that they stop, we're completely ignoring holding those who are following these evil people's orders accountable for their actions and the parts that they are playing within this evil system. In Iron Maiden, for example, while there may or may not, we're unsure because of how the book ends, but it heavily is implied there are these gods or something out there at the very, very top that's giving horrible orders for these horrible things to happen to women. At the end of the day, the people that are forcing women into cockpits, screaming and crying for mercy because they know they're going to die in a very, very short period of time, those guards are not being held responsible in this book at all. In fact, they don't even have names or faces more often than not. They're faceless people that do these things, but the real bad guys are at the top, right? When we do get faces of people, they tend to be people that are all horrible. Like legit, there are no women who support the main character in this entire book. Every single woman who isn't the main character is a horrible, horrible, horrible person who backstabs her. Every single one of them. The only allies to women's rights are the two men who are banging her, because that's realistic. Two men are allies, but no women are. Wee bit of misogyny. Just a smidge of misogyny wafting from this book. But to pull back to the original topic, because of this big evil at the top, be it the leaders or the gods in the sky or however they decide to phrase it, this pulls all the attention away from those individual people whom the characters are interacting with. So the main lead and all of the people around her, they're interacting with guards and other regular Joe people within this system on a regular basis. But at no point in time are these people human. They're just these faceless shadows that do actions. They're not people, they're not characters, they're just bleh. They're extensions of the greater evil. And because of that, no responsibility is on their shoulders whatsoever. No accountability happens at all in this book. Like I said, this is a problem with dystopian in general. Places like Hunger Games. I think Hunger Games does a little bit better of a job than some of the others, as some characters such as like the TV host guy and stuff like that, they look uncomfortable at times as they are starting to become aware, but there are still guards and other people who are literally forcing children to fight and kill each other. Yes, the bad guy at the top is still a bad guy, and what he's doing is still messed up, but he's not the only one that should be held accountable. Everyone who's following these orders mindlessly should also be held accountable in these stories. There are these people who live in the capital of this world, and they live extravagant lives while other people are in the countryside starving. And there's this huge differentiation, and the main character sees this difference firsthand. But instead of trying to rise some kind of resistance, instead of trying to find if there already is a resistance, which there should be, by the way, I find it really hard to believe that this is the only character who's woke. Like, that makes no sense to me. Are you serious right now? Like, seriously? Why isn't there some kind of movement? And why hasn't that movement contacted her? For books like this, where a large portion of the book harps on justice, especially for minority groups, that really just rings very hollow when the only ones who are really being held accountable and being required to submit themselves to justice are those on the highest rung. And everybody under them that's actively participating in harming the minorities are just off the hook. And of course, I'm not saying that these kinds of stories, that dystopian books that have this trope, don't have any place at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they tick me off personally, and this is why. And also, for me, I feel like if your book is gonna hinge on like justice for the people, I feel like you should show the people. Are the people actually fighting together for a revolution? Are the people changing the way they act towards each other in a way that upholds their ideas of justice? Or do they just want to slaughter a bunch of people at the top? But those are just my personal thoughts on that particular trope. I recognize that there is a place for most works of fiction, and that at the end of the day, these are supposed to entertain. And while some of this stuff can and should be bringing up questions for people to ask themselves, at the end of the day, not everyone likes something to be really realistic and complicated, and like, I get that. Sometimes we need to believe there's a big bad out there that can be destroyed and everything else can just be fixed. Thank you guys for listening to me rant on this guy for a wee bit, and also on the genre in general and my beef with it. Thank you guys. Male guys in Japan. Get your motorcycle off my street. I've had a beef with this trope for a long time now. If your big reveal at the end is someone controlled it all, I'm out. Catch you guys next time. Here's hoping the next book is good. I need a good book so bad.